Look at the people around you for a moment. On a bus, in a school, in an airport, in a city street, you are looking at one species, the same basic skeleton, the same organs, the same blood, the same ancient origin, the same strange brain capable of fear, love, memory, imagination, and stories. And yet, the skin covering all of those bodies can look completely different. Deep brown, golden brown, olive, pale beige, pinkish white, almost black, almost translucent. For a very long time, humans looked at that difference and created terrible explanations for it. They built myths around it, then tribes, then empires, then laws, then something they called race. People acted as if skin color revealed what kind of human someone was. But biology tells a much simpler story, and a much deeper one. Skin color was never proof that humans were divided into separate kinds. It was never a ranking. It was never a border. It was a solution to a problem falling from the sky. Because the same sunlight that kept your ancestors alive was also dangerous enough to harm them. Let in too much, and the body could be damaged. Block too much, and the body could fail in a different way. So across thousands of generations, human skin became a balancing system. Not a symbol, not a label, a survival tool. And to understand why, we have to go back before countries, before flags, before civilizations, before anyone had words for race. We have to go back to Africa, to a hot open landscape, and to an animal that made a very strange trade. Most mammals do not need to think much about skin color, because most mammals are covered in fur. Fur is shade, fur is protection. Fur blocks sunlight before it ever reaches the skin underneath. But somewhere in our evolutionary story, our ancestors began to lose much of that fur. Scientists still debate the exact timing, but the main reason was probably heat. A furry animal running under a brutal sun overheats fast. But a mostly hairless animal that can sweat has a strange advantage. It can keep moving. It can walk farther. It can run longer. It can cross hot, open ground while other animals have to stop, pant, hide, and cool down. Sweat works best when it can spread over exposed skin. So early humans gained a powerful cooling system, but that advantage came with a price. Once the fur was mostly gone, sunlight could strike the body directly. And near the equator, sunlight is not gentle. It carries ultraviolet radiation. UV can burn skin, it can damage DNA, and it can break down important chemicals inside the body. One of the most important is folate. Folate is a B vitamin your body needs for making cells, repairing DNA, supporting sperm production, and helping early pregnancy develop normally. That matters because evolution does not only care whether a body survives, it cares whether that body can successfully leave children behind. A human can be strong, fast, clever, and perfectly healthy in many ways. But if reproduction fails, that design does not travel far into the future. So under intense tropical sunlight, early human bodies faced a serious problem. They needed protection, and that protection came from melanin. Melanin is the pigment that gives skin much of its color. But it is not just color. It is a shield made by the body. It helps absorb and scatter ultraviolet radiation before that radiation can cause too much damage. The more protective dark melanin skin produces, the better it can handle strong UV. That is why populations whose ancestors lived for very long periods under powerful sunlight often develop darker skin, not because they were a different type of human, because their ancestors lived under a different sky. Dark skin was not decoration, it was not an accident, it was survival technology, a biological sunscreen built by natural selection. But then humans started moving. Slowly, over tens of thousands of years, groups of Homo sapiens expanded out of Africa. They followed animals, they crossed dry lands, they walked along coasts, they entered forests, mountains, grasslands, cold plains, cloudy islands, and northern regions where the sun did not behave the same way. And as humans moved away from the equator, the problem began to change. Now, the danger was not only too much sunlight. In some places, the danger became too little. More specifically, too little UVB. UVB is the part of sunlight your skin uses to produce vitamin D, and vitamin D is not optional. Your body needs it to absorb calcium. It helps build strong bones. It supports immune function. It helps normal development. Without enough of it, children can develop rickets, where bones soften and bend. Pregnancies can become riskier. Skeletons can weaken. Survival becomes harder. So human skin now faced the opposite pressure. In strong sunlight, more melanin helped protect the body. but in weak sunlight, too much melanin could block the limited UVB the body needed. In those places, natural selection often favored lighter skin. Less melanin meant more UVB could enter. More UVB meant more vitamin D. More vitamin D meant better chances for healthy bones, healthy children, and survival in low sun environments. And this is where many people misunderstand the story. Light skin did not evolve because cold weather magically makes skin pale. Cold does not bleach people. Sunlight changes the pressure. The important map is not simply temperature. It is ultraviolet radiation. That is why skin color follows sunlight more closely than it follows heat. But even that is not the whole story, because humans are never simple. Migration is messy, food is messy, history is messy. Some groups lived very far north and still did not become extremely pale. Why? Because sunlight is not the only way to get vitamin D. Food can do it too. Traditional Arctic diets, for example, often included fish and marine mammals rich in vitamin D. If your food gives your body enough vitamin D, your skin does not need to let in as much weak northern sunlight. So diet can change the evolutionary pressure. This is why there is no perfect global color chart. There are patterns, but there are no clean boxes. And this is where the idea of race begins to fall apart, because human skin color does not change in sharp blocks. It changes gradually across geography. There is no invisible line on the ground where one biological kind of human ends and another begins. There are only populations whose ancestors lived under different levels of UV, populations that moved, mixed, separated, adapted, moved again, and mixed again. If you could walk slowly from one ancient region to another, you would not see humanity suddenly switch from one category to the next. You would see gradual changes, different shades, different combinations, different histories written on bodies by sunlight, diet, migration, and chance. Human variation is real, but the boxes people built around that variation are mostly cultural. Skin color became one of the easiest differences to see, so societies gave it meaning, then they gave it status, then they gave it fear, then they gave it violence. But evolution did not create those meanings. Evolution was solving a chemistry problem. How do you block enough sunlight to protect folate? And how do you allow enough sunlight to make vitamin D? That is the puzzle. Too much UV, and the body needs more melanin. Too little UV and too much melanin can become a disadvantage. Skin color is the compromise, a moving balance between protection and production, between keeping sunlight out and letting sunlight in. And the strangest part is that evolution solved this problem more than once. Lighter skin in parts of Europe and lighter skin in parts of East Asia did not appear through exactly the same genetic path. Different populations reached similar results with different biological tools. That means there was no single moment when humans became white, and there was no single moment when humans became black. Those are modern social words placed on top of a much older and slower biological process. Most researchers think the earliest Homo sapiens were probably dark-skinned compared with many lighter-skinned people alive today, because our species evolved in Africa under strong UV. But even that must be said carefully. They were not black in the modern social sense. They were ancient humans with skin adapted to intense sunlight. The biology came first. The categories came much later. Think of the sun like a problem with two opposite dangers. If too much ultraviolet radiation enters the skin, it can damage important molecules and cells. If too little enters, the body struggles to make enough vitamin D. Melanin is the dial. Turn it up where UV is powerful. Turn it down where UV is weak. Not because one setting is better, because different environments ask different things from the body. That is why no human skin color is the perfect original version. Every shade is a solution. Dark skin is not primitive. Light skin is not advanced. Brown skin is not unfinished. Each one is a record of survival. But then the modern world changed the rules. For most of history, people lived in the environments their ancestors had adapted to. Today, a person can cross the planet in hours. Someone whose ancestors lived under weak northern sunlight can now live near the equator. Someone whose ancestors lived under intense tropical UV can now live in a cloudy northern city. Your skin still carries information from old environments, but your life may happen under a completely different sky. Our bodies were shaped by place. But modern life has made us mobile, and maybe that is the most beautiful part of the story. Skin color feels fixed. It feels like identity, family, history, something you are born with and carry everywhere. And it is all of that. But it is also evidence of movement. Your skin is not only the color of your body, it is the shadow of ancient journeys. It is a trace of deserts crossed, coastlines followed, forests entered, winters survived, and sunlight absorbed by people whose names have disappeared. They did not know they were shaping human variation. They did not know their bodies were becoming part of a map. They were just trying to survive, trying to find food, trying to protect children, trying to live long enough for the next generation to exist. And over thousands of generations, the sun wrote itself into human skin. So why did humans become different colors? Because we began in one part of the world and spread into many. Because the same star that made life possible also created danger. Because evolution had to solve two opposite problems at once. Protect the body from sunlight and still let sunlight in. That is what skin color is. Not a ranking, not a wall, not proof that humans are separate. It is proof that humans are one species flexible enough to survive almost anywhere. A species that began under the African sun, crossed the planet, and carried the memory of different skies on its body. Every shade is a survival story. Every color is a map. And every human alive today is walking around with a small piece of ancient sunlight written on their skin. Your body is carrying a story far older than any country, any border, or any name people invented later. And that story is still with you. If you want more videos like this, subscribe now. There is much more hidden inside being human.